Act 2, Scene 1. A lane by the wall of Capulet's orchard. Enter Romeo alone.
Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find the center out?
He climbs the wall and leaps down within it. Enter Benvolio with Mercutio.
Romeo, my cousin Romeo, Romeo.
He is wise, and on my life had stolen him home to bed.
He ran this way and left this orchard wall. Call, good Mercutio.
Nay, I'll conjure too. Romeo, humors, madman, passion lover. Appear thou in the likeness of a sigh. Speak but one rhyme, and I am satisfied. Cry but I me, pronounce but love and dove. He heareth not, he stareth not, but moveth not. The ape is dead, and I must conjure him. I conjure thee by Rosaline's bright eyes, by her high forehead and her tresses fair, by her fine foot, straight leg, and quivering lip, and all the spittle drops that from it drip, that in thy likeness thou appear to us.
If he hear thee, thou wilt anger him.
This cannot anger him. His broken heart yearned for Rosaline every part.
Come, he hath hid himself among these trees. Blind is his love, and best befits the dark.
Now will he sit under a heavy tree, and wish his mistress were some kind of fruit, to ripen and break open when it falls. O Romeo, that she were a pear, a melon, a peas pod, or a squash. Romeo, good night. I'll to my truckle bed. This field bed is too cold for me to sleep. Come, shall we go?
Go then, for 'tis in vain. To seek him here, that means not to be found.
Excellent. Good. So that was a short scene. Good. Mercutio and Benvolio are just essentially talking about Romeo and how, like, oh, he's probably with his Rosaline this whole time. Good?
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. We're now entering probably the most famous scene of Romeo and Juliet of all time. So it's essentially the balcony scene where Juliet is on her balcony and then Romeo is at the bottom of the balcony and he's seeing Juliet from afar and he comes closer and then he can hear her and then he can talk to her and then they exchange their love to one another. So it's the balcony scene now. Orchard, enter Romeo.
He jests at scars that he never felt a wound.
Enter Juliet above at a window.
But soft, what a light through yonder window breaks. At the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief. That thou, her maid, art far more than she. This is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. And what of that? Her eyes discourses. With its, I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. To the two of the fairest stars on all heaven, having some business to entreat her eyes to twinkle in the place they will return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I wore a glove. Upon that hand, that I might just touch that cheek.
Me?
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why must thou be Romeo? Deny the family and refuse the name. Or, if thou wilt not, but be sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
So remember now that Juliet cannot see Romeo at this point. Only Romeo sees Juliet. Romeo, aside.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art myself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It's not a hand or foot, nor arm nor face, nor any other part, belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What is a name? That which we call a rose, by any other name, would smell as sweet. Oh, give away that Romeo, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thy word, call me thy love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I will never be Romeo.
What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear out the world.
My ears have yet not drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
So if you haven't realized, now they are talking to each other now.
Neither, fair saint, if neither thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and why? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and this place death, considering who thou art. And if any of my kinsmen find thee here,
Stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt. Therefore, my kinsmen are no threat to me. Or thy
if they
kinsmen.
do see thee, they will murder thee.
There lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet. Am I proof against their enmity?
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight, and if thou love me not, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than to live on without thy love.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek. For that which thou hast heard me speak tonight, faint I would dwell on form, fain deny. What have I spoke but farewell compliment? Does thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou may prove false at lovers' perjuries. They say Jove laughs, O gentle Romeo. If thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse, and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the word.
Lady by yonder, blessed by moon, I swear.
Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconsistent moon, that monthly change in her circled orb, lest thy love prove likewise changeable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
If my heart's dear love.
No, do not swear, although I joy in me, I have no joy in any vows tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden. Sweet good night, good night, good night.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I wish that I could take it back. Damn.
Wouldn't thou withdraw it? For what purpose? Love?
But to be frank and give it thee again, and yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love is deep, the more I give to thee. The more I have, for both are infinite. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu.
Juliet?
I know, good nurse. Sweet Montague, but true. Stay but a little, and I will come again.
Exit.
Oh, blessed, blessed night. I am afraid being in night, but all this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial.
Enter Juliet above.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow, by one that I'll procure to come thee, where and what time thou you wilt to perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Madam!
I come, Annan, but if thou mean'st not well, I do beseech thee.
Madam!
By and by I come, to cease thy suit and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow I will send a message.
Then tomorrow I will live again.
1,000 times good night.
Exit.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes towards love the schoolboys from their books. but love from love towards school with heavy looks.
Enter Juliet again above.
Oh my god.
Hist, Romeo, hist! Or a falconer's voice to lure this flown bird back again, Romeo.
It is my soul that calls upon my name.
Romeo,
My dear,
at what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
by the hour of 9.
I will not fail. It's 20 years till then. Wait, I've forgotten why I did call thee back.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget to have thee stand there, remembering how I love thy company.
And I'll still stay to have thee still forget, forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning, I would have thee gone, and yet no farther than a wanton's bird lets it hop a little from her hand.
I would I were thy bird.
Sweet, so I would, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow, that I shall say good night till be morrow.
Exit.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Oh. I would I wear sleep in peace, so sweet to rest.
What are your impressions of Romeo and Juliet at this point?
It's just so different from what's going on now, and I guess different is okay, but like very strange metaphors, and like not even really like the language, like okay, that's just the language, but like the way they talk to each other, like
In which way? Is there anything that stuck out?
well, like saying 3 words and then reciting like an entire poem.
Okay, I get that.
She's like, I have 3 words for you. They're like all one word, but like with tiny spaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's like a good I guess the scene portrays like very well their situation, and how like they're even now in the world, I guess, like there are situations where people like I guess fall in love, but they go like against their family's will. I don't know how to explain that, but I think it like just portrays like their situation very well and how they're reacting to it. And yeah.
Okay. So like when they're talking about the name of the Montagues at first, you mean, or is there more to it?
Just I guess the fact that they're just like agreeing to go with it, like instead of like trying to deny maybe this isn't a good idea. They're just going all out and getting married.
Cool.
I thought it was genuinely cute when Romeo when Juliet was like, you know, you could get hurt, like we're enemies, right? Like you could get hurt, like you could get stabbed or whatever. The guards could come after you. He's like, I don't care. I love you. I thought that was cute.
Okay. What traits does that show about Romeo though?
That he's a hopeless romantic.
But I always like wondered how Juliet is like going to get out of her like palace. Like I don't know, does she live in like a palace or like from her house? Like I always wondered how her parents like weren't concerned where she was when she got like married in the next scene or something like that.
They are very important families, so like they are taking care of politics and business and stuff like that. So they're not just looking at her daughter.
So they
and
just
there's like servants, there's nurses. Like the nurse is the one that's supposed to be watching her essentially.
Okay, so they like just don't notice that she leaves basically.
No.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready for the next scene?
Yep.
Okay, so quick sum up. Essentially, Juliet was just cursing the name of the Montagues. Why did I fall in love with this Romeo? Why does he have to be Montague, Romeo? And like Juliet say that like, but names are just nothing if we have our love. And yes, so Juliet gets called back. They're professing their love to each other, and then Juliet gets called back by the nurse. She goes back, then comes back and says like, but when should I see you next? Tomorrow. Okay, when should I fetch for you? Next thing we have someone new. It's Friar Lawrence. Friar Lawrence is a priest, and he's well respected by the two, both by Romeo and Juliet. Scene 3, Friar Lawrence's cell. Enter Friar Lawrence alone with a basket.
I must fill up this basket cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers, many for virtue's excellence and none, but I have some use and yet all different. Oh, fickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones, and true qualities, for not so vile that on earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor art so good, but strained from the fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misappiled, and vice sometimes by a right sanctified. Within the infant rind of this small flower, poison half residence and medicine power, for this being smelt of the part cheers each part, being taste slays and sense of the heart. Too much of opposed king and cat, them still in man as well as herbs. Grace and rude will, and where the wars is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up the plant.
Cool. So Friar Lawrence just picked up a flower, and he's talking about the qualities of this flower. You've got some qualities that are medical in the sense that they can be good for the heart, be good for the body itself, but he also points out that there's a certain part of the plant that can be used to actually poison. What does this plant mean? What is this reference? Why would Shakespeare want to include this?
Doesn't he drink poison?
Is it a foreshadow? Like for
Yola, you were saying?
Is it a foreshadow of the end? When
Absolutely. We can talk about the foreshadowing. So yes, we can talk about poison, but beyond that, what do you think the flower represents?
The love and the circumstances that they're in. So the fact that Romeo and Juliet love each other and it's beautiful and they love each other and blah, 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 but there's an underlying danger because of their family circumstances.
Absolutely. Or just love in itself can also be very dangerous. Good. So the flowers pointed out here, they can be good, but also there's a poison that can also be found there. And just like Yola said, it was it can be elements of foreshadowing. Good. Enter Romeo.
Good morrow, father.
Benedict, what early tongue so sweet salute me? Young son, it argues a distempered head, so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Or not so, then here I hit it right. Our Romeo has not been to bed tonight.
So essentially, Romeo has been up all night talking to Juliet. And it's now morning.
That last is true. The sweeter rest was mine.
Good pardon sin. Was thou with Rosaline?
With Rosaline, my ghostly father? No. I have forgot that name. That name's a woe.
That's my good son. But where hast thou been then?
I'll tell thee ere thou ask it me again.
Mm-hmm.
I have been fasting with mine energy. With a sudden one hath wounded me of what's by me wounded. Both are remedies within thy help and holy practice physic lies.
Be plain, good son, and homily in the drift, riddling confessions find but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine. And all combined, save what thou must combine by holy marriage. Then when we were and how we met, we wooed and made an exchange of vow. I'll tell thee we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
Holy Saint Francis, what change is here? Is Rosaline, that thou you didn't love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. What a deal of brine half washed thy cheeks for Rosaline! How much salt water throw away in waste! Thy old groans ring yet in mine ears. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain thou sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If ever thought wast thyself in theirs will vine, thou of these woes were all for Rosalind, and our vow changed. Pronounce this sentence then, woman may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou didst chide me, oft for loving Rosaline,
For doting not for loving, pupil mine,
and badest me bury love.
not in grave to lay one in, another to pull out.
I pay thee chide not, she whom I love now, doth grace for grace, and love for love allow. The other did not so.
Come, young waverer, come go with me. In one respect I'll thy assistance be, for thy alliance may so happy prove to turn your household rancors to pure love.
Oh, let us hence. I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow they stumbled that run fast.
Excellent. All right. So what's Friar Lawrence's stance on the whole Romeo and Juliet thing?
I think he thinks that bringing these two together will kind of help both families resolve their problems.
Absolutely. That's what he says at the end, yes. But what's his stance on the whole, like, switching all of a sudden from Rosaline to Juliet?
He's kind of like, what is he doing? He still loves Rosaline? Probably, he's saying like there's a tear that has not been wiped.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, what happened with Rosaline? How are you switching so quickly? And that's what he says here in terms of you're looking with your eyes and not your heart. In terms of like, you're just looking for one beauty to another. And how are you switching so quickly? Saint Francis, how did you change so quickly? He said. So yeah, he's just basically saying that you're not really in love. You're just looking with your eyes. You think you're in love, but in the end, he does accept to marry them.
Help the families come together, resolve their problems.
Exactly. So in the end, he's still like, this is young love. You don't really know yet, but I'm still going to be an assistant because I think that your love will actually maybe bring those two families together. So he sees the whole political agenda behind the scene. Good?
Yep.
Yes.
Ready for scene 4? All right, so we still have Benvolio and Mercutio who are trying to look for Romeo. Romeo now spent the whole night with Juliet and then early in the morning went to go see Friar Lawrence to ask him his permission to marry them and Juliet. And then Benvolio and Mercutio are essentially waking up. It's in the morning again. They're trying to look for Romeo himself. Sounds good?
Yeah.
They're going to get a letter from Tybalt. Who's Tybalt again?
The guy who wanted to kill Romeo for being a Montague at the party.
Exactly. Okay, so very strong thinking Capulet. And he says he vowed his revenge. So Tybalt is going to send a letter to Romeo, but Mercutio and Benvolio are going to intercept that letter, essentially challenging Romeo himself. A street. Enter Benvolio and Mercutio.
Where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight?
Not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
Why, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad.
Tybalt, the king's man to old Capulet, hath sent a letter to his father's house.
A challenge on my life?
Romeo will answer it.
Any man that can write may answer a letter.
Nay, he will answer the letter's master, how he dares being dared.
Alas, poor Romeo, he's already dead, stabbed with a white wench's black eye, shot through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart cleft with the blind bow boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
Why, what is Tybalt?
More than a prince of cats, I can tell you. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing a song, keeps time, distance, and proportion. Rests me his minim rest, 1, 2, and the third in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a gentleman of the very first house of the first and second cause, and the immoral passado, the punto reverse, the hay.
The what?
The pox of such an antic, lisping, affecting fantasticos. These new tuners of accent, a very good blade, a very tall man. Why is not this a lamentable thing, a grand sir, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion-mongers, these pardonnez-mois, who stand so much on the new form that they cannot sit and ease on the old bench. Oh, their bones, their bones.
He's insulting the Capulets here of like, why would they already challenge us for something so simple as showing out at a party? So he's insulting the Capulets to a certain degree. Enter Romeo.
Here comes Romeo. Here comes Romeo.
Without his brow, like a dried herring. Oh, flesh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in. Laura to his lady, what but a kitchen wench? Ditto a dowdy, Cleopatra a gypsy, Helen a hero, Hildings and harlots. Signor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much as to say such a case as yours constrains a man to bend his knees.
Meaning to curtsy.
Thou hast most kindly hit it.
In most courteous exposition.
Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flower.
Right.
So there's a lot behind the scenes going on here. So essentially Mercutio thinks that Romeo hooked up with Rosaline that last night. So there's a lot of double innuendos in what Mercutio is saying here. I'll let you figure it out a bit. But essentially he's like, so had a good night, did ya? And then he's like, yeah, I did. But Romeo's talking about Juliet, the fact that he met Juliet and met the love of his life. Mercutio thinks that he actually was able to spend the night with Rosaline. So there's a lot of like double innuendos going here. So that's what's going on.
I knew it when I rose this morning.
Well said. Though it were better you kept mum. Come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faint.
Meaning he fears to continue the contest.
Nay, if for our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than, I am sure, I have in my whole 5.
Thou claimest 4.5 more of wit than thou hast.
Why, is not this better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art, by art as well as by nature. For this driveling love is like a great ape that runs lolling up and down to hide his bauble in a hole.
Stop there! Stop there!
Thou desirest me to stop in my tale?
Thou wouldst else have made thy tale large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tale, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
Thy tales outlast thy wit by many words.
He's a goodly gear.
A sail. Oh.
Wait. Enter the nurse and her man. So essentially, she's got a big umbrella because the ladies in that time would try to remain as pale as possible. The paler you are, the less of a servant you are, because you are spending time indoors and protected from the sun. So it's seen as a beauty thing. So a sail, meaning like that large umbrella is coming.
A sail.
Two, a shirt and a smock.
Peter,
Anon.
my fan, Peter.
Good Peter, to hide her face, for her fan's the fairer face of the two.
God give ye good morrow, gentlemen.
God give thee good afternoon, fair gentlewomen.
Is it good afternoon?
'Tis no less, I tell ye, for the hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you. What a man you are you?
One gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said, for himself to mar, quoth ye, gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him, and he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for lack of a worse.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
She will invite him to some supper.
Romeo has at last a love that loves him back. It was pursuit of beauty that misled him. Now that he is liberated, he will be happy. Love always her who is grateful for thy love. Nay, more than a grateful, surprised. Nay, more than surprised, astonished, stupefied, dazed, dumb, flatulent with love. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll be having dinner there.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady, farewell. Lady.
Exit Mercutio and Benvolio. So the nurse is a fairly old lady, so that's why he says here, farewell, ancient lady. So it's an insult, essentially.
Oh. Okay.
That's not very nice.
No, he's a saucy boy.
He's a saucy boy!
All right.
Oh, God.
Nurse, you're bringing news from Juliet, and Romeo, you're going to be essentially replying.
Okay.
So the nurse is essentially sending the message from Juliet, saying like, are we good to get married, and what's going to be happening essentially.
Marry farewell. I pray you, sir. What saucy merchant has this that was so full of his robbery?
A gentleman. Nurse that loves to hear himself talk and will speak one more minute than he will stand in a month.
If he speak anything against me, I'll take him down. If he were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks, and if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave. I am none of his flirt gills. I am none of his scheme mates. And thou must stand by too, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
I saw no man use it at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out, I warrant you. I dare draw as soon as another man. I see occasion in a good quarrel, in the law on my side.
Now I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave, pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What she bid me say, I will keep to myself. But first, let me tell ye, if ye should lead her into a fool's paradise, and as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior. As they say, for the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto thee.
Good heart, and in faith I will tell her as much. Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou didst not let me speak.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Bid her devise some means to come to shrift this afternoon, and there she shall be at Friar Lawrence's cell, be shrived and married. Here is forth thy pains.
No, truly, sir, not a penny.
Go to, I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir. Well, she shall be there.
Farewell. Be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend me to thy mistress.
Now God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir.
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man's secret? Did you ever hear it said, two may keep counsel if one is dead?
I warrant thee my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady. Lord, Lord, when she was little prating thing, oh, there is a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife abroad. But she, good soul, had a leaf see a toad, a very toad, as see him. I anger her sometimes, and I tell her that Paris is the proper man. But I will warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter?
Aye, nurse. What of that? Both with an R.
Ah, mocker. That's the dog's name. R is for the... No, I know it begins with some other letter, and she hath the prettiest verse of it. Of you and Rosemary, would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times.
Exit Romeo.
Peter,
Adios.
Anon.
Peter, take my fan and go before and apace.
Excellent. They both exit. So here the nurse, essentially what she's doing is she's just checking to make sure that Romeo is indeed serious about Juliet. So he's asking, like, are you actually serious? How is this going to happen? And then Romeo says yes. She sees in his face, like, oh, he's serious. And then she promises that she'll take the message to meet Friar Lawrence's cell so they can actually get married. So that's what happens. Good.
Good.
We've got 2 more pages to do, and then that's it.
Glorious.
We've got 2 scenes. One is, they're both fairly short. The next scene is scene 5. We'll have Juliet and her nurse. So the nurse comes back after a long walk. She's out of breath. Juliet wants to know, what did he say? What did he say? What did Romeo say? And you'll see that the nurse takes her time to create the suspense to let her know finally what the good news is. Scene 5. Cactus Orchard. Enter Juliet.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's heralds should be thoughts, which 10 times faster guide that sun's beams. Now is the sun upon the highmost hill. One this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours, yet she is not come. Had she affection and warm youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks, many fain as they were dead, unwieldy slow, heavy, and pale as lead. She comes, oh honey nurse, what new? Hast thou met with him? Send thy man away?
Peter, stay at the gate.
Exit Peter.
Now, good sweet nurse, why lookest thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell me them merrily. If good, thou shamest the music of sweet news, by playing it to me with so sour a face.
I am aweary. Give me leave a while. Fie, how my bones ache. What a joss have I had.
I would thou hadst my bones, and I thy news. Nay, come, I pray thee speak. Good nurse, speak.
What haste? Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? The excuse that is not made in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost not excuse. Is thy news good or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll stay the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is it good or bad?
Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man, Romeo. A man, Romeo? Not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's. And for a hand and a foot, and a body, though they be not to be talking on, yet they are past compare. He is not the flower of courtesy, but I'll warrant him, as gentle as a lamb. Go wait. What have you dined at home?
No, but all this did I know before. What says he of our marriage? What of that?
Lord, how my head aches. What a head have I. It beats as it would fall in 20 pieces. My back, oh, other side. Ah, my back. Beshrew your heart for sending me about, to catch my death with Johnsy up and down.
In faith, I am sorry that thou art not well. Sweet nurse, tell me what says my love.
Your love says, like an honest gentleman, and a courteous, and a kind, and a handsome, and, I warrant, a virtuous. Where is your mother?
Where's my mother? Why? She is within. Where shall she be? How oddly thou repliest. Your love says, like an honest gentleman. Where's your mother?
Are you so hot? Is this the poultice of my aching bones? Henceforward do your message yourself.
You're such a coil. Come, what says Romeo?
Have you consent to go to confession today?
I have.
Then get you to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife. Now come a wanton blood up and in your cheeks. They'll be in scarlet straight at any news. Hie you to church. I must another way to fetch a ladder, by the which your love must climb a bird's nest soon when it is dark. I am the drudge and toil in your delight, but you shall hear the burden soon at night. Go, out to dinner, hurry to the cell.
Hurry to thy high fortune, honest nurse. Farewell. Exit. So, that's pretty much it. The nurse tells her he's meeting with you at Friar Lawrence, but she took her long time to say it. Scene 6, last scene. We've got Friar Lawrence, we've got Romeo, and we've got Juliet. It's the wedding scene.
Okay.
So you're both finally having your dream come true. So you're both very happy. Sounds good?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Friar Lawrence's cell. Enter Friar Lawrence and Romeo.
So smile the heavens upon this holy act, that after hours of sorrow chide us not.
Amen. Amen. But come what sorrow can, it cannot contravail the exchange of joy. That one short minute gives me in her sight. Do thou but not close our hands with holy words. Then love devouring death, do what dare it, is enough. But I may but call her mine.
These violent delights have violent ends, and their triumphs die like fire and powder, which, as they kiss, consume the sweetest honey, is loathsome in its own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately long, love doth so. Too swift arrives and tardy as to slow.
Enter Juliet.
Here comes the lady, oh, so light of foot, will never wear out the everlasting flint. A lover may bestride the gossamer that endles in the wanton summer air, and yet not fall so light in vanity.
Good even to my ghostly confessor.
Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both.
As much to him, else is his thanks too much.
Ah, Juliet, if the measure of joy be heaped like mine, and that thy skill be more to blazon it, then sweeten with thy breath of this neighbor air, and let rich music's tongue unfold the imagined happiness that both receive in either by this dear encounter.
Conceit, more rich in matter than in words, brags of his substance, not of ornament. They are but beggars that can count their worth. But my true love is grown to such excess I cannot sum up half my sum of wealth.
Come with me, and we will make short work, for by your leaves you shall stay alone, till Holy Church incorporated two in one.
Excellent. And they are now married. End of
That
Act
was fast.
2.
That was like 2 seconds.
Yep. They made, in his word, short work of it. Good. So that is Act 2.